Welcome to another live stream from the Birb Nest here at the 200K Congress. And today we're talking about Solana and its potential as the next top 5 altcoin. So stay tuned. We're also giving away 1 month of our very premium Nest Club subscription. So make sure you stick around for the secret code for that. But first, a few short messages from our partners.
Prime XBT is the most powerful trading platform offering immediate access to over 30 assets. Trade cryptocurrencies, forex, commodities, stock indices, and much more, all from a single Bitcoin settled account. Visit the link below and start trading on Prime XBT in minutes.
Birb Network is an interoperable DeFi ecosystem offering token pre-sales, staking as a service, project incubation, and much more. Visit thebirbnest.com/Ferrum. Globe is an upcoming crypto derivatives exchange offering up to 100 times leverage on crypto and DeFi perpetual contracts. Sign up for early rewards at thebirbnest.com/Globe. Radix is the first Layer 1 protocol built specifically to serve DeFi. More information at thebirbnest.com/Radix. YFDAI is democratizing finance by creating the most secure, transparent, and user-friendly ecosystem of DeFi products. To learn more, visit thebirbnest.com/YFDAI. All right, and we're back. All right, guys, I'm Crypto Penguin, joined today by Aperture. Hi, Aperture.
Hey, guys. Hello.
All right, today we're discussing, one of the very exciting new projects, Solana. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of Solana, Aperture?
Yeah, I have. I don't hold that much, but I'm following the ecosystem quite closely and the newer project because I think this will be booming.
Yeah, I love it. I've been farming on it and using it. I love the low fees, right? I think I deposited maybe like $100 or $200 for gas, and then I haven't thought about it at all.
It's refreshing. Like yeah, like personally, if I'm looking at new projects right now, it's I first shifted towards Binance Smart Chain, but there's a lot of like vaporware and too much like just rug pull projects, and I think Solana will have less of those, and paying a lot of fees on the Ethereum network just shifts me from like ERC20 Sol basically.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, so Solana. So the headline, can it be the next top 5 altcoin? Okay, so basically, what do we have now? What do we have now in the top 5? Right, we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, XRP, Dogecoin. That's funny even saying that, but okay. All right. So notice what number 2 is. It's Ethereum, right? Because everyone's building on Ethereum now, but then everyone's complaining about Ethereum too, right? We complain about Ethereum, right? Like, I'm sure you have problems with Ethereum fees and the slow transactions. It needs to scale. So of course there are many projects claiming to be competitors to Ethereum to try to solve Ethereum's scaling problems. Like they're using sharding solutions. Ethereum is moving to sharding. There are side chains, but in a nutshell, okay, if you take away nothing from this at all, this is just like a bird's eye view of what Solana is, right? It's like it's a layer 1 blockchain, okay, that's built to scale in a way that that relies on hardware. Okay, so if it needs to scale more, they can just throw more hardware at it, better hardware at it, and there's no need to work with like dozens of developers to try to come up with a crazy, smart, new, unique software engineering solution. It becomes a hardware engineering solution, right? So that's basically what Solana is, right? It's like a different way of approaching blockchain that allows it to scale right now and in the future in a way that can handle DeFi, handle all these like a lot more transactions than Ethereum can right now. Okay. Okay, so this is from the Solana website. So the basic benefits. What's scalable, like I mentioned. I'm going to go deeper into detail about the technology behind it. It's cheap, like we mentioned, right? Like Ape and I have been farming on the Solana blockchain, and that's don't have to worry about fees at all. It's cheap, and this is because it's on the hardware, right? So it's not that expensive to scale it, relatively speaking. And it's composable because you don't have to split your blockchain into like multiple shards. It's all on the same blockchain, so you can be sure 100% that everything is going to work well with each other. That's what composability is. That's being composable means, right? Like how they say DeFi is like Lego. Everything has to work with each other. Now, if something's working on another shard, you have to make sure with your sharding that whatever is on that other shard is going to be able to work well on something on this shard in a very fast way. That's tricky. Okay, but you don't have to worry about that in Solana. It's all on the Solana blockchain. Okay, with me so far? Let me see. Questions? Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Okay. Next. All right. So why are people moving to Solana? You're seeing there are a lot of developers now who are deciding to build on Solana. Okay. So I've compiled some screenshots of some people, some developers, why they decided to build on Solana. Okay. This guy is this is from the Solana Discord. So this guy is from this project called Zoints, and he says he's building Solana because it's fast. It's scaled already, right now, and it has the ability to scale in the future without the developers having to adapt to the new changes. So, like when Ethereum goes to sharding, right? I expect Ethereum's going to have to do a lot of work to make sure it's compatible with everything that's already created, and then everybody is probably going to have to adapt to the way they create their dApps in such a way that it takes advantage of the sharding. You don't have to worry about that with Solana, right? And then if Ethereum reaches another ceiling, are they going to have to re-engineer their software and then go through all that reprogramming again? Well, you don't have to worry about it with Solana. You just they just scale the hardware, right? And the third reason this guy gives, it's extremely cheap, right? So especially if you're a startup, right, and you have to pay gas for all your transactions, you can't afford to pay the thousands of dollars. I mean, you could use those thousands of dollars in fees or whatever, right? Go hire a developer, pay for a nice website. Why spend it on fees if you don't have to? Okay. Okay, this is from Twitter. So this project is Orca. So this guy's talking about Solidity. So the programming language of Ethereum, right? That's Solidity. This project says that Solidity is designed to work to be easy for many different programmers to use. But then it doesn't have the level of control that they need to have really high performing on-chain code. So now they're on Solana, and Solana is based on Rust, I think. So it's not Solidity, but they built it from the ground up to make such good use of the hardware. And okay, you might have to like change the way you think about programming a bit, moving from Solidity to Solana, but in exchange you get a lot more control, a lot better potential performance and scaling. So if you have a very important dApp, it's not gonna crash. So this is really important for like DeFi, right? Okay, like if you're gonna move, if you want everybody to come trade on your chain, you want NASDAQ to move to your chain, for example, they're not going to be able to accept waiting 10 minutes for your transaction to clear. And because but within 10 minutes, within 5 minutes, within 2 minutes, things could change like that, right? It could be totally different in 2 or 3 minutes. So it needs to happen almost instantly, or like at least fast enough, a few seconds. Okay, so it's really, really, really crucial if you want to be a DEX that's actually going to be globally adopted, to be able to handle that kind of capacity. This is Civic. Actually, talking about Civic, I found a video. Do I have that prepared? No. Okay, I'll just tell you what So I watched this video about from Civic, right? So they talked about why are they moving to Solana? Okay, and basically they're saying it's fast, it scales, and they were waiting for Ethereum. They were waiting for Ethereum to scale, and they waited several months, and it's not really here. There's like optimistic rollouts, maybe, kind of. It's uncertain, right? And then these teams, if you're a team developing, what are you going to do? Are you going to wait 9 more months for a year for a maybe it's going to scale, and you're just going to have your team do nothing, just sit around playing games, waiting? No, that's not going to happen, right? So projects can't afford to wait for Ethereum to sort things out. Like the institutions are coming, the corporations are looking at blockchain, so they need something that's working now. So that's what Solana promises to do. Okay, now I mentioned that they work with hardware. So are you familiar with Aperture? Do you know Moore's law?
I do. Yeah. You well, don't forgive me if I have it wrong, but you will need more processing power over time, and that is like almost exponential.
Well, it's not that you need more processing power, but that you'll like every 2 years, computers get better, like twice as good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they get better, and then probably cheaper too, right? So like remember, have you seen those pictures, of like those huge IBM mainframes? Like they take up a room.
well, my dad was a system maintenance guy for old computers, so what he put on tapes, and like there were rooms full that were only like several MBs of backups. So yes, I've seen them. Yeah.
And then when I was a kid, we had little floppy disks, and well, now I don't know how many floppy disks fit into like a small little phone I have here, or even like on my watch. It's crazy, right? So Solana is betting on this, right? It's betting on Moore's law. It's designing the blockchain around the hardware to make the most use of the hardware, and then as long as the technology continues to increase, become twice as good every couple of years, then Solana is going to be able to scale along with that hardware, because it makes such good use of all the components in the hardware. And if you need more capacity, well, you can always pay a few $1,000 more, set up another server, and then people are going to keep researching to improve hardware anyway, right? Whether or not Solana is here. So yeah, it's taking advantage of the hardware. And and they have a hackathon happening right now. So there's a lot of like incentives for developers to come to the Solana ecosystem. Okay, so that's like a general like overview of like why people are picking Solana right now. Okay, let me see, any questions so far? Okay, so let's some investment questions. So we'll have the we'll have our charting monkey expert look at that later. Aperture will take a look at that. But I'm gonna go a little deeper. Okay, I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper now into the tech. Bear with me here. Okay, it helps you to understand how it works, because then if you go look at another project, then you can see, hey, is it doing the same thing Solana is? Is it better? Is it worse? If you just have like a top level overview, yeah, it helps you make the investments maybe, but then you're not going to get that deep understanding to truly understand whether like it gives you the confidence to hold it for the long term if you understand the technology and think. Then you can decide for yourself, right, whether or not you think it's better than this or that other project. Of course, I'm not a developer, so this is my understanding based on a lot of research. So, okay, let's go back. We're going to talk about consensus mechanisms. Okay, Bitcoin uses proof of work. So basically, what is the consensus mechanism? You have a bunch of people on the internet. You want them to come together and verify something. In Bitcoin's case, it's transactions, right? How do you know who you can trust? How do you know? How do you know if somebody's not lying or trying to backstab you? It's like a game of a werewolf or something. You're not sure, right? So you have to design your system in such a way that even if there are people who are lying to you, or people who maybe their connection's not good, you can't contact them, you are still able to have confidence that your network is stable and you can trust the output of what comes out of your network, right? So Bitcoin uses proof of work, so you have to spend some electricity to solve to do the hashing. So that the output, they had to spend some money on electricity in order to get that output. So you can probably trust that they're not playing around. That's a waste of electricity. So we have proof of stake. Now that in that case, it's no longer electricity, it's money, right? So you put some money at stake. If you are lying, you lose your money. And then we have something a little more centralized, a little faster. We have delegated proof of stake. So you have a bunch of people with funds. They vote for who gets to be the validators. So that's a little faster, I guess, because it's a little more centralized, but still more democratic, I guess, in a way. And then we have proof of authority, which is a lot of some like corporations like to use, right? They need usually probably need to stake some tokens, and they verify their identity. So if you mess up, well, we know who you are, and we're not going to work with you again or whatever. So like their reputation is at stake too. Okay, so these are the consensus mechanisms. So now we're going to go into what Solana has. Okay, so all right, before that, so Bitcoin has a 10-minute block time. Do you know what Ethereum's block time is, Aperture?
I actually don't know, but I think this morning it took me a few minutes. But it depends on the traffic, of course.
Yeah. So like the block time is supposed to be 15 seconds, but it takes many blocks for confirmations. Can you guess what Solana's block time is?
Well, it feels almost instant. I think it's maybe below 1 second, but maybe the interface is lacking.
Yeah, that's actually, it is below 1 second. So it's like 400 milliseconds. It's super fast, right? So okay, why do we have this difference in block times? How come Solana can be so fast and Bitcoin needs 10 minutes? So like the difference, like the longer. Okay, when you're on the internet, right? It's like people are talking to each other, and if two people find a solution at the same time, then 5 people find a solution for Bitcoin at the same time, then how do you know which one is correct, right? So then like only one person is going to win. So those 4 other people wasted their time. So Bitcoin is kind of like trying to balance out like the wasted work by making it 10 minutes. So the longer the time it takes, the less chance there is of collisions, of people like coming to the same conclusion, and then like people arriving to the solution at the same time, and then you wasted your electricity. Ethereum is kind of like taking proof of work to the extreme and kind of lowering that, so they kind of have more collisions. But then they have steps to like make use of that somehow. But Solana has this feature I'm going to talk about later, which allows them to have like much faster block times. Okay, so they have this feature called proof of history. Oh, I don't know if you. After, let me know if you hear this. Maybe you don't hear it.
No, I hear you. Very low volume.
Do you hear the video? No. Okay.
Yeah, and very low volume, but it's probably the feedback.
You hear it through my headphones. Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just scroll through the video here. Okay. So what they're saying is, okay, proof of history. They're comparing it to like a dye, taking snapshots of color going through some water. So even if you rearrange these snapshots, you know which one comes first, right? Which one's first?
Sorry, what do you mean here?
So you see this guy's taking pictures.
Yeah.
Of this
you
dye
see it
going through the water.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So now we take these pictures, right, and you rearrange them.
Yeah. So you see the hue changing, and the last one should be the full bright pink color.
Yeah. So this one is the first one. This one is the second one. This one's the third one. This one is the fourth one, right? So that's what proof of history basically is, right? Is they have a way of putting information into each block in such a way that even if they were all scattered around, you are able to arrange them in the correct order without having to go ask somebody else, like, hey, is this the correct order? And ask 10, 20, 50, 500, ask the whole network, is this the correct order? Everybody agree? Okay. All right. You don't have to do that. You can just on your own, looking at the data, you can arrange it on by yourself. Okay, so how do you do that? So basically, what they do is they have this kind of sequence of steps. Okay, that when you process this transactions, you have to using one single processor. It's only going to work on one processor, so you can't do a multi-core brute force attack, right? It's only working on one processor. Go through this series of steps, take that hash from the previous block, and you're going to have this new output. Okay, and then the other people can verify whether this output is linked to that old block. Okay, so the data in the block tells you what came before, and the next block is going to apply to the same thing. So then this data here, if this hash doesn't match the output here, then these aren't, this one didn't come after this one, right? So it's a way of organizing the blocks in such a way that you don't have to, ask, you don't have to worry about. I mean, for sure that they spent a certain amount of time working on this problem, because you have to have that single core. You know how fast a computer chip is, right? So you know that it's going to take, I don't know exactly how much. Let's say, for example, it has to take about 10 seconds, more or less. So if you get that hash, you get that new block if there's about 10 seconds in between this one and the last one, then you know, okay, they probably spent some time there working, and you can verify the output. Oop. And the output you can verify with many cores. Okay, so the encoding you have to do with one core, so make sure everyone's on the kind of the same playing field. But then the verifying, you can use all your cores. You can use many cores, so that makes it fast to verify. So in a way, if you had all the blocks in the Solana blockchain, right, and you just scatter them around like puzzle pieces, you will be able to see from the way the hashes are, right? From like the way this hash fits into this hash, you will be able to reorganize blockchain just based on that. So you don't need necessarily to go to like have this consensus or go check with the ledger or use with just by the data by yourself. You can actually start working on this problem already. So that's part of the speed there. And then they have these. So it's called proof of history. So this is actually not a way. This is actually not a consensus mechanism. Okay, so this is not proof of work, proof of stake, proof of authority is not proof of history. It actually doesn't belong in this category. They actually use proof of stake, but they use proof of history to organize the blocks in such a way that the performance can scale like so much. Okay, but there's still proof of stake. Let me look at the time here. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit. They have a lot of features here. So they have a practical Byzantine. They have a tower Byzantine fault tolerance. So that's how can you trust whether people on the internet are not lying to you, right? So this tower basically, when each validator, when they vote on which fork is correct, which fork is not. If you vote on one fork, you get locked out for a certain amount of time, and you keep voting for the same fork. After you vote for the same fork 32 times, then you start getting paid. So once you start building that tower of blocks up, and you reach 32, then okay, that's when you get paid. So it's this incentive for you to one, get it right in the first place, because if you get it wrong and then you realize like 10 blocks later, then you wasted a lot of time, right? So after you vote for the same one 32 times, you start getting paid. And then so everybody's trying to vote for the correct one because they want to get paid. They have this technology from BitTorrent. Okay, so they call it Turbine, which is, let's say you have this 128 megabyte block, right? So maybe in the regular blockchain, maybe you want everybody to have this data. How do you do that, right? If you try to send 128 megabytes to everybody directly, that's going to take a long time. So like Aperture, not that you do that, but if you when you were younger, did you download movies?
No, on the record. Yes, off the record, of course.
Right. So let's say this gorilla, let's say this gorilla guy, he's downloading movies, right? So did the gorilla guy, did he download, like, ever try to download from a direct link, right click, save as the whole file?
Yeah, you could do that with stuff like Mega Upload and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, but like way back when, right? Like it took a long time to do that.
Yeah.
Right. But then when you have you theoretically used BitTorrent before?
Well,
download
yes, and you can also download non-illegal stuff with it. So yes.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So how does that work? You don't get the whole file at once, right? They break it up, and then that guy gives you a little bit, and this guy gives you a little bit, this guy gives you a little bit, and then that makes the best use of the bandwidth as well. So Solana has this feature where, like this leader, if they want to transmit some data, okay, like they want to say, okay, this transaction's approved or whatever, instead of the leader having to tell everybody by himself, he sends it to this neighborhood, neighborhood 1, and then neighborhood 1 is going to tell their friends in their neighborhood that, hey, this is what the leader said, and then they're going to send that data to the other neighborhoods below them, and then the leader is going to send some data to another neighborhood, and basically, so the whole network is kind of like distributing the data so that it kind of like gets recorded and spreads out much more quickly. And this is a cool one. Have you ever, you know the mempool, right, Aperture?
I recognize the name, but yeah, maybe it's good if you can refresh my memory.
The mempool is this queue, right? Your transactions, when you send a transaction, it goes into the mempool for the queue, and then the block producers, they take the transactions out of the queue, kind of clear it up, right? So maybe you heard about mempool congestion, right? Back in like CryptoKitties or whatever. It's like mempool is like totally filled up. So what do you do when the mempool is filled up? Like on Ethereum, what do? You pay more, right?
Yeah, which creates even more congestion, or possibly.
Yeah, exactly. So then you pay more, and then it gets more expensive, and then people pay even more, and then the people who don't pay more they get stuck in there, and big mess. So what Solana does, right? They have the ability to like based on how much you stake and stuff, they decide who the validator is ahead of time. So you're working on the block right now, but you know who the validator is going to be in the next block. Maybe the block after that. I'm not sure how many blocks, but so they can so the transactions, they can actually work on it and forward it to the future validator ahead of time, before they are actually supposed to work on the block, so that when it is their turn to work on the block, they already have all the data they need, and they go, okay, I'm done, and it's much faster, right? So let's do a little exercise, okay? Let's work together on this. So I'm going to need you, Aperture. I'm going to need you, audience. Work together, okay, guys? Teamwork. Okay, we're going to solve some mathematical problems and add some blocks, right? All right, what is 151 times 268? So I wanted an answer from the audience as well, guys. So give me that answer. I have my answer here.
You can't use Excel or a calculator. You have to do it.
No, you can't.
From the top of your head.
It's fine. No, we don't have all day. All right. So I have 40,468. What do you have, Aperture?
The same. Yeah, exactly.
The same.
That number.
Audience, do you have the same? Audience, 40,468. Okay. Notice we had some lag there because it's the bandwidth problem, right? It's like internet. So okay. We got that correct. We all agree? Yeah, everybody agrees? Yeah?
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
Next one. Okay, let's do this one. 328 times 264. Audience?
I already have it. So.
Okay, go ahead. What is it?
It's 68,592.
68,000. I have 86,500.
Oh, sorry. 86,000. Yeah.
Wait, yeah. 86,500. Okay. We all have the same answer. We all agree. Okay, let's go. Let's move on to the next one. Last one, guys. Last one. Okay, what's this one? I have 85794.
85794. Same here.
Okay. What do you guys have? Audience? And wait for the audience. If you don't give me an answer, we're not gonna continue. Come on, guys. Right, 85794. Okay, good. So we all agree. So that's consensus, right? We all have to agree on the result, and then we move on to the next one. Takes time. Takes some time. So with the Gulf Stream, okay. Now what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on the first answer. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to work on the first answer. Aperture, you work on the second answer. Audience, you work on the third answer. Okay, guys? I'm number 1. Aperture number 2. Audience number 3. Ready, guys?
Let's go.
Ready? Okay. Let me know when you're done.
I have it.
I'm done. I have it. Audience, are you done? So I have 177025 for mine.
I have 72924. And we see something
answer.
in the audience.
We're gonna have to verify that. But yeah, okay. So look, in the same time it took us to do that first, one of the first problems, right? We did all three. So that's what this is, right? So like if it's congested, if it gets congested, they're able to start delegating stuff out, spreading it out, kind of like this BitTorrent idea, I guess, and then processing stuff in parallel instead of just waiting and waiting and waiting. So if theoretically they reach capacity, they're gonna be able to scale a lot more. Right. Okay. And they have this unique C-level feature where smart contracts can run. We have time to go into detail for this. Oh, I want to go into the charts too. Okay. Basically, they're able to process many inputs at the same time, many smart contracts and many multiple inputs at the same time. Okay. So the example they gave is like if you have this smart contract that makes CryptoKitties, you can have like 100 different inputs, I guess, that all go into this command, create CryptoKitties. It's going to organize them in such a way that it's easy to process and then process them at the same time. So smart contracts are processed faster. They have pipelining, which makes the best use of the hardware. So they separate the tasks you have to do, right? And the kernel space does these tasks. The CPU is going to do this task. The GPU does this task. So it's not just GPU mining, not just CPU mining. It's like make the most of your hardware. So if the hardware improves, well, basically that's what Solana is. Make the best use of the hardware you can. Okay, it's a division of labor. And they also have this problem, okay, where you have this problem where your ledger, your blockchain, the more you use it, especially the more popular you are, the bigger it's going to get, the heavier it's going to get, right? So imagine the Ethereum blockchain in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, if we keep using it the same way, and then we keep adding transactions to it. If you need to like sync the blockchain, how much hard disk space is that going to take? Well, I can't even imagine right now. So it's going to take a lot of space. So they have this kind of. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's the next thing. Okay, let's talk about that now since I talked about it. So they have this kind of decentralized way. So they spread out the data. So they're going to have people called, I think they're going to be called archivers. Basically, these nodes that are responsible for storing the database, the ledger, the blockchain, the ledger. But they split it out. So if you say I have 500 gigabytes of space, they're going to delegate. Okay, I'm going to give you 500 gigabytes worth of stuff to keep track of. And this other guy says I have 2 terabytes, and then the network will say, okay, I'm going to give you 2 terabytes of data to keep track of. So it's kind of like decentralizes the file storage. Cloudbreak is a way of like this database that makes the best use of your RAM and your SSD. So again, optimizing your hardware. Okay. All right, so go through all the tech. So good idea, maybe, if you agree. What do you think, audience? Let me know what you think. You think that's a good idea? Are you impressed by the tech with Solana so far? So while I wait for your answers, I'm gonna go through the team. Okay, so the team basically led by Anatoly. He worked at Qualcomm for like, oh, look at that, 13 years. Okay, so like Qualcomm is like a lot of like I guess like networks, 2G, 3G, a lot of like software, like a lot of this like hardware engineering problems, and okay, basically if you're working at Qualcomm, you're probably a good engineer. Okay, and he worked there for 12 years, so he actually built a lot of contacts, right? So in Solana, you actually have a lot of these Qualcomm engineers on there, and they're built to scale using hardware, and they have these engineers who are familiar with hardware, and familiar with networks and familiar with like and not just like that network, like local area network Counter-Strike party you had when you were a kid, right? When I was a kid, probably not you. Like 2G, 3G, like actual networks that people actually use and probably people try to hack, whatever. So like they have experience with networks. Okay. So this guy has again 13 years at Qualcomm. So this guy is the what's he doing? It's like a principal engineer at Qualcomm. Okay. This guy is like the data scientist, and he worked at CERN, which is like I think that's like the Hadron Collider, like particle physics. Okay, particle physicist, guys. So basically, really smart people who know their hardware and know their science. And okay, so don't worry about the team not being able to create the technology. They're smart enough to do that. All right. So we talked about Binance Smart Chain, right? So what do you think, Aperture? Do you think Binance Smart Chain is good enough, strong enough to overtake Ethereum?
Well, the problem we see now is that it's also like congested at moments of high traffic, and it's also quite centralized because it's mainly run by Binance. So if Binance doesn't scale up the servers, the network stays congested. So it's
definitely
it's a DEX structure, but it's basically run by a centralized agent. So it has some problems, and I don't think that's why it's a good alternative to Ethereum, because it isn't really decentralized, and you're really dependent on Binance and how they scale up.
I agree with those points. I actually have them in the slides later. but BNB is number 3. Why? People are all trading on Binance Smart Chain. Why are they doing that?
It's easy. It's, I think, the easy gateway to these exchanges. I think they're all mainly just hype for the projects on there. I think that's the main reason.
Yeah, basically there's money, right?
Yeah.
people go where there's money to be made. Okay, so like Binance Smart Chain has demonstrated that it doesn't matter if you're decentralized or not. If there's money, people are going to go there. Okay, whether or not you like that, that's basically how it is. Like you said, it's centralized, right? So there's like so this is from this guy from Misari, I guess. Like a bunch of Binance Chain validators, 11, get to decide who are the 21 validators on Binance Smart Chain each day. Okay, so that's centralized. And what is Binance Smart Chain, right? Binance Smart Chain, basically, if you go to their GitHub, their documentation, basically, it's a fork of Ethereum. They designed it to work with Ethereum. They designed the addresses are the same to make it confusing for you and make people lose their money. It's a fork of Ethereum, right? So how it's not going to overtake Ethereum, but in terms of technology, at least anyway, right? This is from is it still today? I don't know what the time is, but yeah, today or yesterday, wherever you are, depends on where you are. They're having scaling issues. Okay, so basically it's like a more centralized version of Ethereum. So in that way, it scales better, just because of the centralization, right? But at the end of the day, it's not going to be able to be that much better than Ethereum, because it's not like rebuilt from the ground up. It can have some innovations, sure, right? But what do you think? Do you think like being connected to Binance, being on Binance Smart Chain, makes you more likely to get on Binance?
Well, you need the BNB. I think it's the easiest way to get your money in the BSC, the Binance Smart Chain network. So I think Binance profits a lot from this. Yeah, I think that's basically my answer.
Well, I think at least that Binance connection is going to ensure that it's not going to die, because Binance is rich, right? So they're gonna try to pump money in their ecosystem there, right?
And all of that new money doesn't really care about decentralization because they haven't seen the problems with a centralized exchange or a centralized entity, or so all the new money that's pouring in doesn't really care because they're still making money. And I think at least for this bull market, they won't go to another chain. Maybe when money starts moving towards Solana, for example, they will follow, but they still won't care about decentralization. I think this the congestions will be a problem for them because they can't move money in or out. So they might be looking for better alternatives later.
Yeah, they're definitely going to fix it. But yeah, so like Binance Smart Chain centralized, people don't care. They go there for the money, right? So I'm coming back to Solana now. So Solana actually has this connection with FTX, where like Project Serum and Sam, how do you say it? Bank Friedman? Sam
Bankman-Fried, I think.
Bankman-Fried, SBF, yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried. So like the head of FTX, right? He's leading. He has Project Serum, which is kind of like this order book DEX kind of DeFi thing, and he's building it on Solana. If we have time, maybe I'll show you that post where he basically made this post saying, hey, we need this blockchain. We need to scale and scale. We need to work now and scale in the future and handle like a lot of transactions in the future. And there's no other blockchain that can do that except for Solana right now. So that's why we like Solana. So with that FTX backing, right? You noticed there were some new coins on Solana that got listed on FTX, right? What were they after recently? Yeah, Radium, right?
Yeah, and well, some smaller projects like Step or Cope.
Media,
but it's mainly supported by them. I think Audio is one they listed.
Right. So you see this exchange connection, right? That's what gives Solana that advantage. Like FTX is invested in this ecosystem, so they want to support it. They want to see it succeed. And okay, maybe there's another project out there with some better tech, but they don't have this kind of deep of a connection with like a solid exchange in the same way that maybe Binance Smart Chain and BNB and Binance have, and Solana and FTX have. And right now, I think FTX is like kind of one of the biggest threats for Binance right now, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
There's Alameda Research. So did you hear about that Reef kind of fiasco recently?
Yeah, but I wasn't sure about the outcome because I think Reef backed up on a deal and Alameda wasn't really happy with that. But
yeah, so I mean, that's not what I want to focus on here. Is that they made this post. They made this post, right? They're saying like, oh, we want to explain. Reef said I want to explain what happened. Yeah, I don't really care about what happened, but I'm not sure if you can see in the screen. But when they were explaining what happened, okay, they said, let me circle this here. Okay. So this part here, actually this whole part here. Okay, they said Alameda's investment arm reached out to Reef, right? They wanted to make an up to $18 million investment, and the VC team of Alameda wrote, Reef is a multi-chain aggregator. We can explore the angle of integrating with Radium and Serum on Solana for liquidity. So these guys, Alameda Research, okay, they say Alameda Research is actually they're investing and making money, okay? They said, hey, we want to invest in your company, in your project. if you agree to work on Radium and Serum and Solana, you catch that, right? We got like $80 million. Okay, we're going to throw some money your way if you agree to work with our ecosystem. That's the kind of incentive people are getting to work on Solana. Okay, so it's not just building the tech and hoping that people are going to come. They have serious money behind it. So it's this combination of like great tech that's going to scale, and then these founders with who are successful enough and rich enough to actually just throw money at people to get them to join. And then once they're in there, and once enough projects are in there, you get a critical mass. Then then it's gonna blast off from there, right? All right. I think that's enough of all the technical stuff. If I have some time here, I want Aperture. Could you take a look at so these Solana ecosystem coins? Can you take a look at Solana, the chart, maybe?
Yeah.
And show us, is it a good time to invest now? Should you wait? How does it look?
Well, of course, we had that shakeout yesterday in the markets, and Solana already had a bigger run up. As you can see, it comes all the way down from the bottom here was below $1. But in crypto, when hype stays up, you can keep following the trend. So that's why I'm using some moving averages to look at that trend. And what I noticed was that Solana was actually respecting the 20 EMA on the 1-day chart quite well. And it's basically in this uptrend holding that ever since, maybe some deviations below, but as long as it holds, I think the uptrend is intact. So especially with the ecosystem evolving and new projects launching, airdrops being airdropped to newer to token holders, whether it's Sol or Cope, I think there will be more interest. And especially the funny thing is that you want to buy these dips and hopefully be eligible once a airdrop drops. But mostly when people make a lot of money on airdrops, that's when price goes up, because it's more anticipation and more based on hype. So what I want to see here is that this chart will show some kind of recovery around this level. So we're currently at or around that 20 EMA. So I would want to see some green candles afterwards, and that acts as a confirmation that it's holding. And I think once it breaks if this goes up and breaks that 47 level, I think it will go up more. Like it will just break the highs basically and continue to trend up. Because it already had a bigger trend, it might pull back more, and then you'll have to look for supports lower. I think scaling in at around 35 or 29 would be a really good level. Will help you out here. And if you're in doubt, you can always try to put on a Fibonacci from the last low to over here, and as you can see, they line up with some of these support levels here. So I'm thinking if this drops further, it would be a good buying opportunity somewhere between 30 and 35. Or if we see in the next 1 or 2 days some green candles, that might also be a good indication that trend continues, and maybe buy that more as a trade instead of a longer term investment. But just keep moving your stops up along that 20 EMA, or keep an eye on that, because I think if that holds, it will the trend is intact.
Okay, so basically it's on an uptrend. If the 20 EMA holds, then you should probably try to hop on.
Yeah. And if you're already holding, it's looking good, and it's you don't really have to worry at this moment. And maybe if it breaks, scale out a little bit and try to find an entry lower.
I want to get like maybe one or two more in before we have a few minutes left.
Yeah,
Sorry
I'm
about
going to speed up. Let's do COPE, Ray, and SRM. Let's start with Ray because that's the
yeah.
I think main exchange, the main.
It's like a
eco-
decentralized exchange. AMM. It's got IDOs. Check it out. Don't have time to talk about it. A lot of farming to do. Yeah.
And I think this one is actually a much simpler chart. If I just drew a couple of lines here, and what you can see is that it basically broke that all-time high, at least over here, consolidated, and is trying to find a bottom here between 11.7 and 12.8. So as long as this area holds and there is some buying interest, I think this could be a higher low in the trend, because we're seeing some higher lows every time if you ignore this wick, and we're also seeing some higher highs every time. So basically this is an uptrend, and I think this might be the higher low we can use to follow that trend, and especially because they're launching more and more pools on Radium. It's the main exchange, just like PancakeSwap is on the Binance chain, Binance Smart Chain. I think this will get more traction. So
Yeah.
I'm slowly, like, I'm already farming on Ray. I'm farming, for example, some COPE and some STEP. Let's don't talk about STEP, but let's focus on the profits I get from that. I try to put in Ray, so I'm not purely putting it in a dollar, but putting it in an asset that's basically an uptrend, and an asset that I think that will get a lot of traction.
Yeah, like a quick tip: if you believe in the future of Solana and Radium, you probably want to get into that Ray Sol pool, maybe the Ray Serum pool. You can probably hold that for a longer term. If Solana does well, Ray's probably going to do well. I mean, if Ray does well, Solana's probably going to do well. And then those other stuff like Step, for example, that's probably like watch. You have to watch those a little more closely, right? I like this though. I like this. Like the support goes all the way back to the beginning there, right?
Yeah, since the listing, and it's basically it's flipped all-time high. It's finding support, and it's in an uptrend. So this is, I think, a beautiful setup. So I'll just keep scaling in little by little, because I have a lot of hope for this one. Serum itself is a little bit
Definitely
also, but it already went the first time parabolic. If you put it on a log scale, it's a little bit more, it's a little bit clearer. Wait, there it is. But basically, this also flipped the previous all-time high over here to resistance, and it had the first touch and then pushed through, and this is the second touch. So you would want to see this hold above $8. Even better if it holds above 8.5, which it currently is doing. If we put on some moving averages, you can see it's holding the 55 EMA fairly well, or at least bouncing from that. That one is still catching up. So we need, in the next few days, need to look for some kind of reaction around these levels, and then see, like similar to Solana, if it can print a few green candles or just consolidates further, which might give us a good entry somewhere here. But as always, look, see if it consolidates, and then once it starts to show some momentum, that's where you can go in, because it's confirmation. And you can see something similar here, where it's consolidating a little bit. It has some deviation, but then starts to show momentum. So basically, this could be a level where you go in and ride the rest of the trend up.
What do you have down there? Is that stochastic down there?
This is the stochastic RSI, and you can use that one for that that momentum, because if you see something pull back and see a few candles, and you can use the stochastic or the stochastic RSI for that, or some kind of other indicator that shows some momentum if you know how to read that indicator. You can see that this one crosses when that momentum comes in. Something similar here. You see that momentum coming in and then push it further. And right now it's not crossed, so you would want to see this cross again and then do something like this. But once that crosses, you have some confirmation that from that level it seems to have bottomed out and can push upwards. So that would be brilliant.
It's got room to go. This is daily, right?
This is the daily chart. So
it's got room, right?
Basically, this is some kind of reaccumulation, some consolidation, and I think those patterns are the most brilliant in a bull market, because if they haven't broken down, it means that price is kept stable. But once they break out, there's a lot of upside room and price discovery possible. And then I think we'll finish with the last one, Cope, a real community project. Run by Siri, brilliant but delivering guy also. So he's best of both worlds. And I think
this is a good long-term hold, guys. I mean, really look into this one. It's a good one to get into.
Yeah, and basically the same. Like, just put on a 20 EMA and see if it holds the trend. And since its inception, it's been in an uptrend. And the farm still has a good APR. It was much better before, but you want to look for trending assets that have some solid fundamentals and maybe have a good APR. And I think Cope is a good one. And if you look from a lower time frame, you can see that it has a lot of wicks. I think some people are taking profits from the farm. But basically, if you put on the drawings, you can see that every time it prints a new high, it pulls back, retests that support, and then goes up again. And I think we're seeing that again over here, where it retested this level over here. There is some reaction, and it's trending up again. So I think this one is one of the best uptrends if you look through the noisy wicks. But it can give you some interesting entries just at support levels.
And they have airdrops too. So if you're holding them, if you're farming them, they had one airdrop earlier, right? For holders, and in the future they're probably going to have it for holders and farmers as well. So you can get that yield. You can get some airdrops, and it looks like it's developing nicely. It's like a nice uptrend there.
Yeah, just make sure it's in your solid wallet, or maybe in the farm. I think they do also the airdrops. The first one they didn't, but the future ones they might do also to the farm, the yield farmers. But make sure you don't do it on the exchange, because the exchange might not give you that airdrop.
Right. Okay. All right. I think we're over time now, so I think that's it for today. Oh, hope that wasn't too heavy for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it. Sub if you loved it. Make sure you share it with your friends if you want to let them know more about Solana. And don't forget to join us at our 200K Trading Congress. So you get 14 days free access to our exclusive Nest Club subscription, where you get access to Aperture, to myself, and Aperture is going to do this analysis, make calls every day. You can talk with the Nest team. There's a lot of things for you to learn, right? To learn how to trade. And I'm going to be keeping my eye on the Solana ecosystem for a while yet. So if you want to hear my thoughts on it, make sure you join. Head up time to head to the next stream, right, guys? So make sure you subscribe to us over there at thebirbnest.com/YouTube as well. We have all our upcoming live streams scheduled there. And see you at the next stream. Right. Bye, guys.
Okay, have a good day.